आइए अब देखते हैं एग्जाम्पल 3.4. A ball is thrown vertically upwards with a velocity 20 meter per second from the top of a multi-story building. The height of the point from where the ball is thrown is 25 meter from the ground. So A, how high will the ball will rise? And B, how long will it be before the ball hits the ground? Take G is equal to 10 meter per second square. See this figure here. This is a multi-story building and it is said that the height is 25 meter, right? So now you are throwing a ball from here in upward direction. You are throwing it in upward direction. With a speed, here it is given 20 meter per second. You are throwing the ball with a speed 20 meter per second. So first you need to find out that how high the ball will go. You need to find out the height of the ball. Then how long will it be before the ball hits the ground? Means here the ball will travel like this, right? Like this. It will go from A to B and then will return to C. So within this path, what time it takes, that we need to find out. First we will find out the answer A. That means how high this ball will rise. For that, first of all, let us note down few physical quantities. See, the initial height or say initial distance, let us say y0 is 25 meter, right? See, this height is y0 and this will be y. Let me write down that this is our y0. y0 is 25 centimeter, 25 meter, I'm sorry. And y is what we need to find out. And secondly, the initial velocity, that is v0, is 20 meter per second. Here let me show. This is the initial velocity. You can see in this figure I am writing v0. Initial velocity v0, that is 20 meter per second. Now here you need to remember one thing. Whenever any object is thrown in upward direction, in the influence of gravitational force, the acceleration, rather the deceleration of the object will be equal to minus g. It will be equal to minus g. So I'll put down here A is equal to minus g. You know that g is the gravitational acceleration. See why I am taking minus g? Obviously, when the object is moving upward, the velocity is decreasing. So it's a pure case of deceleration or say retardation. That's why for retardation we will put minus, right? One more thing. Whenever any object is falling freely in downward direction, suppose this ball will go from A to B. At B, the velocity will become 0 for an instant, and then after it will start falling downward. So when it is falling downward, why it is falling downward? It is falling downward due to the gravitational pull, gravitational force. So here the velocity will be increasing. So we can say the acceleration will be equal to g, but because it is falling downward, that's why we have to take minus g. Here this minus is due to the negative y direction. Are you getting this? This is a negative y direction. It is moving towards negative y direction. That's why we have to take minus g. So I'll just put down here that in this second motion, A will be equal to minus g. So it is written here already. It is given here. And for the upward motion also, A will be equal to minus g. This will be very much useful. Don't forget this. I repeat this. This g, this acceleration is minus because it's a pure case of retardation. And here this acceleration is minus g because though it is a case of acceleration, but it is towards the negative direction, so it is minus g, right? So in our first case, for this first motion from A to B, acceleration is minus g, and because g is already given, so I will put down minus 10 meter second inverse square. Now what we need to find out is what is the height it gains. So it's like we need to find out y, right? This is the total height, you can see, and it is given y. So we need to find out y. Now it's a case of constant accelerated motion, you can understand. When we say that acceleration is minus g, or let us say plus g, it's a fixed value. Acceleration is having a fixed value, that means it's a constant accelerated motion. So we can apply equations of constant accelerated motion. Now the first equation of accelerated motion is v is equal to v0 plus at. That will not work here because there is no displacement term. The second equation is y minus y0 is equal to v0 t plus 1 half at square. That can work here if we are having time, but we don't have time here. The third equation is v square minus v0 square is equal to 2a y minus y0. That will work here because it is having the term of displacement as well as it is having the term of velocity. Before we move forward, let me just clarify you that we are talking in this answer A, we are talking about the motion from A to B only. Mind well. We are talking about the motion from A to B only. Alright. So the final velocity at point B will become 0, na? Here the initial velocity is v0, but as soon as it climbs up at some point, means here at B point, the velocity will become 0. So in our motion from A to B, as I said, we are talking about the motion from A to B, the velocity, that means the final velocity will become 0. So I am writing v is equal to 0. Now we can continue with our equation of constant accelerated motion. From the equation of constant accelerated motion, which equation? V square minus v0 square is equal to 2a y minus y0. From this equation we are going to write. Now the final velocity v is 0 minus initial velocity v0 is 20 meter per second. So it is 20 square is equal to 2a, but a is minus g and minus g means minus 10. We need to find out y minus y0. Here I will put y0 only so that we can first get y minus y0, then after we will find out y. So here we can understand this will be minus 400 minus 20 and y minus y0. So from this we are getting y minus y0 as 20 meter, right? Now we can say that y will be equal to y0 plus 20, and as you know that y0 is 25, so 25 plus 20 will be 45. So this is y, that is 45 meter. So when the question is how high it will rise, that means how high it will rise from the multi-story building, then the answer is 20 meter. But if the question would be what is the height from the ground, then it is 45 meter. Now let us find out the answer of B, that how long will it be before the ball hits the ground. Now for that we have to do one thing. See, we have to divide this motion into two parts. Like the motion from A to B is, let us say, first motion, and motion from B to C is, let us say, second motion. As well as the time taken from A to B is, let us say, t1, and the time taken from B to C is, let us say, t2. So what they are asking is, they are asking about t1 plus t2. They are asking the total time of the motion. That means they are asking t1 plus t2. So now let us first find out the time t1. For that I have to create a space here. Here it is. Now here we will be talking about the answer B, and that too for the motion from A to B, right? Now in this case, from A to B, we need to find out time, right? As I said, this whole motion is constant accelerated motion. So we can go with the first equation, V is equal to V0 plus AT, right? Because we are having all the physical quantity other than the time t. How so? See, V is final velocity, that is 0. V0 is initial velocity, that is 20 meter per second. And during this whole motion, the acceleration is minus g, that means minus 10 meter per second square. Try to understand, we are talking about the first motion only from A to B. So initial velocity is V0, final velocity here will be 0, and acceleration, as I said, will be always minus 10. And now we can write from the equation of constant accelerated motion. Which equation? V is equal to V0 plus AT. Now we can put the values. We know that final velocity V is 0, initial velocity V0 is 20 meter per second, acceleration A is minus 10 and T is T1. As I have already shown here that the time for the first motion from A to B is T1. So I will put here T1. So now we can find out the value of T1. From this it is very clear, T1 will be 20 divided by 10, so will be 2 seconds, and it will be positive, you can see 2 seconds. So this is the first time what we needed. Now we need to find out the second time for the second motion, that means from B to C. Alright. Now in this case, when you are starting from B to C, so you need to think again about all the physical quantities. Listen, for the motion from B to C, the initial velocity at B will be 0, right? Because in the motion A to B, it stops here. At B point, it stops. So the velocity is 0. And that 0 velocity is initial velocity for the second motion from B to C. So for our motion from B to C, I must write that initial velocity V0 is 0. And the final velocity will be here at C point, but that is not our concern. We can go without that also. But yes, acceleration will be required. So acceleration A will be again minus g, that means it is minus 10 meter second inverse square. This we already discussed that it will be minus because the direction is towards the negative y direction. Now this position, that is the point B, is the initial position of the second motion, and point C is the final position of the second motion. So the initial position, that is y0, will be 45 meter, and the final position y will be 0 meter. Are you getting this? See, for the second motion, this is initial position which is at a 45 meter of height. This we have proved in the A section. In the answer of A section, you can see here, this is 45 meter. So the initial position for the first motion is at 45 meter height, and the final position is at ground. So y will be equal to 0. Now you can see From these values, we can use the equation of y minus y0 is equal to v0 t plus 1 half at square and can find out the time t. So let me create some space for that. Now here we'll be able to write down. So let me start now from the equation of constant accelerated motion. Which equation? Y minus y0 is equal to v0 t plus 1 half at square. From this equation we can find out t now. Let us put down all the values. What is y? Y is 0. Minus y0 is 45 is equal to v0 is 0 and plus 1 by 2 a is minus 10 and t is t2. Don't forget, for the second motion we have taken time t as t2. Now solving this, what you will get? This will be t2 square, that will be how much? 90 divided by 10, right? It will be 90 divided by 10 and positive only. So it will be 90, and so you can understand t2 will be equal to 3 seconds. So this is the time for the second motion. Now we will write down the total time. So the total time taken by the ball to hit the ground is, let us say, t is equal to t1 plus t2. What was t1? 2 seconds plus t2 3 seconds. So the total time becomes 5 seconds. Right? It becomes 5 seconds. So this is our second answer. So we can find out this time by another method also. Let me explain that also. For that, let me first create some space. Here it is. I'll write down here another method for B, the answer B, that means finding the total time, right? Now you need to understand one thing, that throughout in the first motion and in the second motion, that means from A to B and B to C, the acceleration remains constant, and that is equal to minus 10 meter per second square, right? So because the acceleration is remaining constant, so you can consider the whole motion from A to C as one motion. I am saying you can consider the whole motion from A to C as one motion and can apply the equation of constant accelerated motion, because throughout this motion acceleration remains constant. This is the beauty of this constant accelerated motion equations, that you can just apply this equation for whatever the path is. We know the path is from A to B and then it is coming back to C, but it doesn't matter. You can just apply the equation of constant accelerated motion from A to C, because the acceleration is remaining constant. So I'll first write down acceleration as minus 10 meter per second square, you know already. Initial velocity v0 will be plus 20 meter per second, right? And the initial position is point A, right? And the point A is at height what? 25 meter. And the final position is at ground. So the final position y is equal to 0 meter, right? And the total time is taken as t only. So now from the equation of constant accelerated motion, let me write, from the equation of constant accelerated motion, which equation we are talking about? Obviously, with this 4 physical quantities, or rather 5 physical quantity, we can go with this equation only. Y minus y0 is equal to v0 t plus 1 half at square. This is the only option, right? And y is 0 minus 25, y0 is 25, v0 is 20 t, and plus 1 by 2, a is minus 10 and t square. I can write this equation in form of this way. See, it will be 5t square minus 20t minus 25 is equal to 0. So this becomes a quadratic equation. We can solve it further by writing t square minus 4t minus 5 is equal to 0. Now you know how to solve this equation further. Obviously it will be t minus 5 and t plus 1, right, equal to 0. So you are getting t is equal to 5 second or t is equal to minus 1 second. Now minus 1 second is not at all possible, and that's why t is equal to 5 second is our correct answer. So we are getting t is equal to 5 again. You can see in the previous answer t was 5 and here also t is 5. So again I am saying what we have done here, that should be clear in your mind, that in this second method I have taken the whole motion as one motion starting from A to C as one motion because the acceleration was remaining constant, and then I have applied the equation of constant accelerated motion. For constant accelerated motion, the path is not important. So we have just put all the values whatever is there and we have got the correct answer. Now let us see example 3.5, free fall. Discuss the motion of an object under free fall. Neglect air resistance. First of all, let us understand what is free falling. If we drop any object under the influence of gravitational force, then obviously the velocity will keep on increasing. That means it will become a accelerated motion. And the interesting part here is that the acceleration will be constant and it will be equal to g only. That means 9.8 meter per second square. So this type of motion is known as free falling. Mind well, here the initial velocity will be always 0. As I said, you have to drop, not throw. You have to just drop the object under the influence of gravitation, and so the velocity will start increasing from 0. So the initial velocity will be always 0. The acceleration will be always equal to g, and because it is downward direction, so we will take a is equal to minus g always, right? One more thing here that should be taken care of, that the height of the object should be very very small compared to the radius of earth. We know that radius of earth is 6400 kilometer approx. So the height from where you are dropping this object should be very very small compared to the radius of earth, and then only we can call this falling as free falling. Moreover, because we are near to the earth's surface, as I said, the height should be very small than the radius of earth, so we can say we are very close to the earth's surface. That's why the value of g will be almost equal to 9.8. So in such case, that means in the case of free falling, we will always take g is equal to 9.8. Let me show you the definition. Here is the definition. Free fall. When an object is released near the surface of earth, it accelerates downward under the influence of the gravitational force. Such a motion is known as free fall. Here we should add that here acceleration remains constant and is equal to minus g, that means minus 9.8 meter second inverse square, right? And also we can write initial velocity is always 0. V0 is equal to 0, because as I said, you have to release it, not to throw it. If you throw it, then initial velocity will not be 0. Then it doesn't become a case of free falling. One more thing to add, that the initial position is y0 is equal to 0. See, when we drop something, at that time we can consider the initial position as 0. Means we can assume like that we are standing on the origin. So y0 becomes 0. Now because the acceleration remains constant, so this motion is a case of constant accelerated motion. Rather, it's a very important case of constant accelerated motion. Here all of the three equations of constant accelerated motion will change. What will be the changes? Let me show you. Here from v is equal to v0 plus at, what we can write? We can write v is equal to 0 minus gt, right? Because initial velocity is 0, and so v will be equal to minus 9.8 into t. This is our first equation for constant accelerated motion in free falling. Then let us take the second equation. From y minus y0 is equal to v0 t plus 1 half at square, we can write, see, y is y, y0 is 0, v0 is 0, and this is a, that is going to be minus g and t square, right? So as a whole I can write y is equal to minus, see, g is 9.8, divide by 2, that will be 4.9, right? 4.9 t square. Y is equal to minus 4.9 t square. So here is our second equation of constant accelerated motion for free falling. Now let us go for the third equation. Also from the equation v square minus v0 square is equal to 2a y minus y0, right? Here this is v square minus v0 is 0, 2a is minus g, and y minus 0, y0 is 0, right? So you can write v square is equal to minus 19.6, 9.8 into 2, 19.6 into y. Here is our third equation of constant accelerated motion for free falling again. So these are the three equations for constant accelerated motion in case of free falling. Now we should also discuss the graphs of acceleration versus time, velocity versus time, and position versus time from this free falling. So for that, let me create a space here, and now we will show these graphs here. Here we will see the graph of acceleration versus time. Here velocity versus time, and then here position y versus time, right? So let me show them one by one. This is the graph of acceleration versus time. You can see here is acceleration. The upward direction is the positive direction of acceleration and downward is negative, and this is time. Now as we know, in our case acceleration remains constant, right? And it is 9.8, rather minus 9.8 meter per second square. You know that already. So that's why you can see the graph remains constant. It is horizontal with time. So that means the graph is remaining constant. That means the value of acceleration is remaining constant at minus 9.8 meter per second square. Understood? Now if we discuss about velocity, then velocity versus time graph will be something like this. See, the velocity versus time graph is having a straight line. Let me show you first. This is velocity v and here is time t, right? And this is the negative direction of velocity because it is falling downward, so we have taken the negative direction of velocity. But the main point is that the velocity versus time graph is having a straight line. When it is a straight line, velocity versus time graph is a straight line, so it proves acceleration is constant. Okay. This graph you can draw by this equation. Look here in this left side. Here in this equation you should put the values of t, like 1 second, 2 second, 3 second and so on. So you will get velocities like minus 9.8, minus 19.6 and so on. And according to that values you can draw the graph and you will get definitely this type of graph. You can see for 1 second the projection will come somewhere near minus 9.8. For 2 seconds the projection will come near somewhere minus 19.6 and so on. So the graph is coming a straight line. One more thing, we know that the slope of velocity versus time graph gives us acceleration. So if you take the slope of this graph, you will get exactly minus 9.8 meter per second square. That will be the acceleration, and it is negative. The slope is negative, that's why the acceleration is negative. So in short, this graph explains the whole theory of this motion. One more graph we can draw is the position versus time graph, and that will be something like this. Here it is. You can see this is position y, and here the negative side of the position is taken. You can see it is minus 10, minus 20, minus 30 and so on, and here is time t. Why negative? Because obviously the motion is in downward direction, so we are taking negative y. And you can take this equation, look here in this left side, you can take this equation to find out the values of y for different time t. Means you can put here t is equal to 1, so you will get y is equal to minus 4.9. Here you can put t is equal to 2, so t square will be 2 square, that means 4. 4 into minus 4.9 will give you minus 19.6 and so on. So according to that, when you will put all these values in this graph, means for 1 second minus 4.9, for 2 second minus 19.6 and so on, you will get a graph of this kind, a curve type. Here this graph shows that y is increasing rapidly with respect to time, and it is very obvious because from this equation you can see that y is proportional to t square. Y is proportional to t square. So as you increase t by 1, that means 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second and so on, y will be increased by the square. Means it will become 1 times, it will become 4 times, then it will become 9 times, then 16 times and so on. And that's why you can see y is increasing rapidly. It is in negative direction, that's another case, but it is increasing rapidly with respect to time. That's why the graph of y versus t is curved like this. So here are all the graphs of free falling. I hope both of the numericals what I have taught today is understood well. You can ask for any doubts in the comment section. And also let me tell you that the link of the PDF of both of this numerical is given in the description box. You can download and can note down.